Good afternoon. This is Peter Towers from ESS Small Business. Welcome to one of our information webinars as we acquaint the visitors to ESS Small Business with all the key players who are supplying information and advice to small businesses via ESS Small Business. Today we're going to hear from Rick Nash, the Chair of Corporate Connectors, about business networks and why they're very good for businesses. As part of this webinar preparation, I did a bit of research on networks, and I thought I'd open up with a couple of comments. A network is a group of businesses who joined forces to maximize their presence in the marketplace. And that's what Rick's going to talk about today, referring to corporate connectors. And networking helps to generate a spirit of cooperation, to tame the business jungle. You probably don't need me to tell you, but business can be very lonely, very dangerous at times, and you do wonder who you can turn to for some assistance. Well, networking is one way to be part of a group of people who have probably got the same problems or have already been through them, so perhaps they can help you. It does increase the competitiveness of businesses because you're opening up new market opportunities by joining with other people and probably finding out that what you thought was your unique problem is not that unique after all. Other people have already suffered the same problems. And this can all help you gain access to new markets and obviously create opportunities. So today I'm going to introduce Rick Nash to you. About 18 months ago, I first communicated with Rick over the Personal Property Securities Act and the Personal Property Securities Register. We probably won't talk about that today, but we could go on for hours about the stupidity of a lot of the drafting of that legislation. And Rick told me at that stage he was going to form a network to try to help small business operators better run their businesses and be better prepared for situations like the Personal Property Securities Act in the future. So it's a great deal of pleasure that I introduce Rick Nash to you, and I'm going to change the presenters now, and then Rick will talk about why business networks are great for businesses. How are you, Rick?
Yeah, I'm very good, Peter. Thanks for the introduction. Assuming we can work the technology. Okay, here we go. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see my screen. What I'd probably like to do is probably broaden a little bit some of the comments that Peter has made about business networking. And there are obviously various types of business networking. There's just ad hoc networking, of course, where you might just bump into somebody by chance, or it could be a client or a customer that you have. There's some dialogue results in opportunities. What we're probably interested in is talking about various methods of systemic business networking, actually integrating networking as part of your everyday business activity. And I'll probably elucidate a little bit on some of the things that Peter has been talking about, and I'll give you an introduction to corporate connectors. So there is a bit of a fallacy that all business owners are great self-advocates, that we're all incredibly positive about a product or a service, that we're comfortable in front of a group of people articulating about what that service or product is, the value of it, and so on and so forth. One of the things that we've had various businesses over the last 15 years, and we currently have a fairly eclectic range of business interests, but one of the things that we've realized over that period is there are some fantastic business owners out there or partnerships where people either feel that they're sensitive to networking environments, they feel a little bit awkward about maybe getting up and giving a talk or a speech about their product or service. So networking is not essentially for everybody at a level where you're having to make a presentation. And generally, as I say, we believe that there's a misconception that we're all very good at it, and certainly it's not something that came naturally to me. I'm probably despite protestations of possibly my colleagues, I'm actually fairly shy. I've historically found it difficult to get up in front of a room of people, or in fact conduct a webinar for argument's sake. And it's a skill that I've learned over a number of years, but it still doesn't come naturally. One of the other things about networking that is fairly consistent when we're talking to other business people is there are significant time constraints around the time that people feel they need to be able to allocate to it to get the kind of best returns. So traditional networking groups tend to fall into the category of things like BNI and so on, and other networking groups where maybe on a weekday you might meet for an hour on a weekday morning at 6:30, have some breakfast, have a bit of a chat, toss around potentially one or two referrals, and then go your own separate ways. We believed that there was a number of significant flaws in that model. The first one being that the referrals are generally ad hoc. There's no systemic way of managing referrals, no way of ensuring that members consistently gain the opportunities through the collective databases of those groups that they should in fact be able to get access to. So whilst there were individual referrals, there's no consistent interaction and cross-promotion between the groups. In our business life, we have created some of our best opportunities have been created through networking. So we're significantly aware that networking creates opportunities, but there is, as we said, or as I just articulated, a component of work to it and effort and so on and so forth. So just to continue on the theme of Peter's opening dialogue, that the things that networking potentially leads to are such as joint ventures, the creation of alliances, the opportunity for exponential growth, distribution, channel marketing, discussions with competitors, which is normally something that we're all a little bit afraid of, to expose our business model or positioning, but actually engaging in dialogue with what might appear to initially be competitors has often been a way that we've helped grow our businesses, because once you get into the detail and you get over that initial reluctance, people generally are happy to actually sit and have dialogue about where collaboration might produce a better outcome. The other thing that Peter alluded to was obviously things such as economies of scale, the ability, for argument's sake, to share premises, the ability to have providers of suppliers and providers discounting their products or services because you've aggregated the demand through another partner and so on and so forth. So it's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly powerful networking. And the real key thing is, as I say, historically in Australia, we haven't really done it incredibly well. And it's always been one of those kind of components of our day-to-day business that we're a little bit begrudging because we think of it as being time-consuming, sometimes ineffectual, and so on. So about 18 months ago, as Peter said, we were looking at conventional networking, and we said, look, what are the problems? Well, the first problem was that, as I say, those referrals are generally ad hoc and inconsistent. Secondly, traditional networking such as BNI for sure is time-consuming and so on. The third one was that we were not getting the benefit of the database relationships within that group. If I am happy to grab an old granny off the bus shelter on the way into a BNI network meeting and say, hey, you probably need some assistance with a new will, here is actually the contact details of our BNI legal network member for this particular group. If I'm happy to do that, but actually I also have a database of old people or seniors or whatever, why am I not comfortable about referring across my database? So the ability to create cross referrals was something that very, very rarely happens in traditional networking groups. The other issue that we addressed was that we're incredibly time poor. So what tends to happen is that we go to these meetings and we're very focused on our own businesses. We leave those meetings in the morning, we just had a lovely breakfast, we leave, the phone rings, it's your secretary, or your office has just burnt down, or there's a complaint from a client or a customer, or one of your kids has whacked a kid over the head with a toy going up to school, you have to go and pick them up. So the ability to carry everybody else's business at an intellectual level when you're in dialogue with other parties is very constrained. And we tend to get back into our own businesses very quickly, despite our best intentions. I'm going to think about referring, Peter or Tom or Jerry or whoever it is. The reality is we tend to get stuck in our own verticals. So what was the problem with that? Well, effectively there was no managed component to it. So we kind of got thinking. We happened to be in the car at the time. We got thinking, okay, so if we had to reinvent networking, all right, to get the benefit of all of these things, what would it look like for us? Well, the first thing was, as Peter articulated, a collective of like-minded businesses across a very diverse range of verticals: service industries, manufacturers, wholesalers, importers, exporters, etc., etc. So a very diverse group of business owners who have an appetite for working collectively and are happy to cross-promote with their databases, their other colleagues' services and products. Now, of course, that has to be appropriate and appropriately delivered. So that was one of the first tenets, so a collective. The second thing was the ability to have a managed component of that networking group. So, in other words, we're busy the same as everybody else. We don't want to have to necessarily do all the networking. So what was the answer to that? Well, the simple answer to that is effectively within that group to provide a managed service or a managed networking component. So when we thought about it, it was actually incredibly simple. Get a group of us together, get a central management team whose job it is to look at various opportunities both within the group and with third parties for its members. We all contribute. Doesn't have to get run at a commercial level. As long as it pays its bills, as long as it pays the management team, that is fine. So we ended up, by the time we got to the end of the freeway, we felt that we had potentially the makings of a very innovative business networking model. So we called it Corporate Connectors. So Corporate Connectors, as the screen says, is Australia's first managed business networking service. There is nothing else currently like it. Doesn't mean, of course, it will be unique forever. But I'll just quickly go through some of the benefits and how it works. And I'll try and keep this fairly short and sweet. I know everybody's probably got other better things to go and listen to. But, okay. So a dedicated referral manager focused on growing your business. So every member of Corporate Connectors gets a dedicated referral stroke manager, relationship manager, and it's their job to effectively identify opportunities for each of your individual businesses, both within the group and with external parties, both for things like distribution, JVs, alliances, and so on and so forth, as we've articulated. Look at potential dialogue with competitors. We have a collective database of in excess of 800,000, and that is growing rapidly. We have a relationship to a group called Members Plus. Members Plus holds the seniors and the Union Shopper database, and they're effectively integral to Corporate Connectors, which just gives us the opportunity to basically be sending out direct communications, EDMs, email marketing, and special offers and so on and so forth. So that is a massive, massive opportunity for our members. Normally, it's 32 cents per email to put a product or a service with an offer out to that particular database. We have negotiated no upfront cost and just a proportion of the sale proceeds. So if you wanted to get to a massive database, 100,000 plus in the Union Shopper database with a special offer, if you were to do it independently, it would cost you $32,000 per offer. Now that is integrated into the Corporate Connectors membership. So a massive, massive opportunity, particularly for those of you guys that have products. Okay, so networking with a focused and motivated group of like-minded business people, as Peter said. Certainly at Corporate Connectors, we feel we have a very good mix of members. We have people that have operated multinational companies. Peter, who's been CFO for very large entities, down through to people that are running sole or dual owner businesses. So we've got a very, very wide, broad mix of members. The key membership criteria is that you have to be happy to essentially cross-promote where appropriate. That's pretty much it. So networking that really works produces high-value opportunities. Hopefully Peter won't mind, but Peter, with one of Peter's other hats on, you may well get to see this, I'm sure, but Peter has an amazing piece of software that identifies grants for potential businesses. And compared to looking, for argument's sake, at the government's grant website, which is unbelievably convoluted, Peter has built him and his team have built an absolutely fantastic piece of grant software. And through a connection within Corporate Connectors, we're in the process and fairly imminently about to sign off a deal with one of the Australian major banks, which means that these guys will be integrating the software into their SME space and encouraging all of their managers to run their members through that particular database, through that particular piece of software, to identify grant opportunities. Now, the benefit for the bank is a lot of grants are co-contribution, so the ability for them to be lending money either by way of overdraft or other facility means that it's a win-win for the bank. Peter has built this beautiful, magically resolved software. The bank have a need for it. They have a reason to integrate it, and we happen to have for Peter a very high-level introduction. So that's probably a classic example of how Corporate Connectors work. So it's not necessarily about generating one lead for a window cleaning job or an accounting gig or whatever, but certainly more looking towards those higher-end alliance and JV opportunities, and we're confident that once we have that in place with this particular bank, that we will be able to leverage that with other banks in Australia as well. So that's really an example of what we're talking about when we say high-level, high-value opportunities. So it increases your exposure within and external to the network. Collaborate with your members to grow your business and fill talent gaps. Learn from the collective knowledge base. Minimise expenses by taking advantage of member-to-member offers. Essentially, that is a situation where these are the jobs of your relationship manager or the relationship manager for each member in Corporate Connectors. So I'll just very quickly talk about how it works. Although I've got a very slow internet connection today. So much for the MDM. Okay, so within Corporate Connectors is to identify referral opportunities within the group. Pretty straightforward. If you are an entity that has employees, then a great way to incentivize employees and effectively give them a cost-free pay rise is to put in place a salary packaging platform for them and things like novated leasing. So, the idea is that any referral opportunity that the group identifies, basically we will be looking for those within the group and identifying those and introducing the parties to where we see the opportunity. So their job is, again, to identify alliance and distribution opportunities, and not only within the group, but with external parties, aka the example I've just given with Peter. Facilitate appropriate introductions and meetings, manage the rollout of agreed distribution arrangements, identify equity opportunities for members. It's been a very interesting one over the last year that a number of equity opportunities for members has come up, and we've now put those in front of the group, some of whom have adopted those opportunities or taken advantage, some of whom haven't. But it's part of what we do in Corporate Connectors is to let everybody, make everybody aware of opportunities out there. So seek external database promotion relationships, and a classic example of that, of course, is the one that I just mentioned, which is with Members Plus. Massive database, and we've negotiated a no entry or no distribution fee. That is a very significant opportunity. promote group membership. It's obviously our job to do that. Inform members of new technologies and emerging markets. We are pretty au fait with new technologies across a variety of business-related issues, and we try and keep everybody up to date as to things that they should be looking for. Identify specific connections for members as requested by individual members. So the idea is that if you guys have a particular individual or a particular vertical that you want to get into, that you're not sure about how to broach that or break into it, then generally let us know, and we will basically make those initial contacts and inquiries for you. So if you're not confident about that, we're more than happy to pick up the baton for you and go and talk to people that you feel may assist in the business. It's obviously our job to identify or to maintain the Corporate Connector CRM and report results to members. Identify opportunities for promotion between members' databases and connections, including emails, EDMs, newsletters, embedded web content, SMS, social media, webinars, tele-video conferencing, workshops and events. Now we have a monthly get-together, and in person, those of us that can make it, and certainly we have a lot of interaction through those other mediums. Only appropriate cross-promotion opportunities will be put to members. So if we articulate that we believe this is something that your clients or customers might like to know about, if you have an existing relationship in that space, if you have, if you believe it's not congruent, for want of a better term, if you feel that, hey, look, advertising skateboards or promoting skateboards to your over 80s, database is probably not going to produce the results that we'd like, then clearly there's no obligation to do so. So when we're talking about appropriate cross promotion, certainly within the group, it's got to be appropriate for that database, effectively the nature of the relationship. So that's got to be, as I say, convergent with the numbers and the relationship of you to your own client base. So your role as a member, so to work with a referral manager to identify opportunities and bring them to fruition, introduce other members to relevant and beneficial connections in your network, and cross-promote other member services or offers as appropriate via your database and your network. Attend networking functions, virtual and or face-to-face. Provide feedback and information to your management team as requested, and hopefully introduce potential members. So very simply, Corporate Connectors is a collective group. We're happy to cross-promote. We have a central management team whose job it is to identify opportunities both within the group and to external parties. This happens to be just one particular model. As I said at the beginning, there are obviously a whole variety of other networking models. Irrespective of the type of model and irrespective of your ability to be a good advocate for your own business, networking is incredibly powerful. It doesn't matter to us whether you guys join Corporate Connectors, BNI, any other networking group. But just from experience, and I'm sure Peter would vouch for this as well, that networking, and particularly in the SME space, should be an integral part of your business plan and how you're going to leverage networking to achieve the objectives that you are seeking to bring about. And just to recap, joint ventures, alliances, exponential growth opportunities, distribution and channel opportunities, discussions with competitors, economies of scale, all of those things almost invariably come out of networks. They don't tend to come out of direct advertising, for argument's sake, or Google advertising. They tend to be one-off leads, okay? So the real benefit of networking is the ability to bring about substantive increase in business. And certainly, as I say, that's something that we found to our own benefit over the years. We've had lots of joint ventures, lots of alliances. Some have worked better than others. The fundamental key, certainly to an alliance or a joint venture, is to go into one believing that there's a complete win-win for both parties, where our experience is that when one party feels that a JV or an alliance is heavily favoured to one party, then they can be problematic in the long term. So just one piece of advice: if you get into a networking situation that leads to dialogue around a JV or an alliance opportunity, just firstly think about what the relationship to you can do for that other party. How are you going to help them build their business, identify opportunities, create additional revenue, and so on and so forth. Don't go into things like networking and alliance and JV discussions just wondering what you're going to get out of it. And if you do it the way I've just suggested, just think about what you can bring, all right, in terms of benefits to that other party. That's a really good starting point for a successful JV and alliance. So just to finish off, networking, massively important. Corporate connectors, yes, we think that's a great platform. We're more than happy to chat to you about it, about membership. But try and integrate networking as much as you can effectively into your business. So, Peter, I think I'll probably jab it away long enough, so back to you.
Thanks, Rick. I'll just transfer the presentation back to me. So that was a very interesting presentation by Rick Nash, Chairman of Corporate Connectors. And Rick's right, there's a lot of benefits for small businesses. And those of you who have been in that small business for a while will know it is a very lonely place. You probably talk to your accountant and a little bit to your bank manager and maybe a marketing advisor if you happen to have one. The benefit of the Corporate Connectors Network is that you can talk to a whole range of people who have got all sorts of business experiences. And as I said in the introduction, you might be surprised to find that a lot of other people have basically got the same problems you've got. So you can learn from their own experience. You probably already know, but ESS Small Business website contains a wide range of free and paid articles. There's about 30 individual presenters featured on the site at this stage. And by the end of January, that number will be about 60 different people and organizations who are supplying material to help you more effectively run your small business. So if you want to have a look at ESS Small Business, just go to www.esssmallbusiness.com.au and you will be able to access all of the material that I'm referring to. And I just want to click onto the website, and I'll show you how easy it is to do that. And I meant to have all this organized, but I've omitted it. But we just go on to ESS Small Business. We have a number of other websites, but one's on the government grants that Rick was kind enough to refer to, and we're very grateful for his assistance in our negotiations with a major bank. So when you go onto ESS Small Business, this is the website. There's a range of information that you can obtain, and this is summarized here on the left-hand side. Some of the articles that all you have to do is to click on to get access to those. If you are interested in our business partners, who are the organizations who are participating in supplying articles and information and offering their services to visitors to ESS Small Business, there's the links to the organizations that have featured already, and many of these are Corporate Connectors members. So if you wish to find out what their particular offer is, you just click on the click here to find out more, and you go to the promotional page, in this case of Home Loans Limited, through their accredited mortgage consultant, Robert Foster, who's one of the foundation members of Corporate Connectors. So you can read the type of services that Robert provides. He has a special offer in there for anyone that's reading this material, and you can then contact him, and he will do a deal for you. The other thing I just want to show you, obviously this is a webinar today. If you want to view the webinar recordings that we have done in this series, all you need to do is to click on webinar recordings, and they are there, so you can listen to them by just clicking here to hear the recording at a time and a place that suits you. So thank you very much, Rick, for participating in this webinar today. And obviously, for those of you who are viewing this webinar, thank you for your interest in looking at our products and services. If you have any questions about any aspect of the operations of corporate connectors, please send me an email and I'll make sure that Rick gets back to you. So it's peter@essbiztools.com.au. Rick, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Bye.